Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, I want to bring you guys a video on Support Paladin. But before we get into the video, I want to make a few disclaimers. First things off, this is not going to be a full build guide because this is a beta, so that means that there's going to be a lot of things that change, but this shouldn't change that much to the Pack the Server Party weekend event. And talking about that, if you want to play multiplayer in Last Epoch, you need to own the game, and you can use the registration link down in the description. And if you follow those instructions, you can play on February 2nd with all of us for a while, for about like almost a week, I think. You'll be able to play with your friends, play on the servers, have fun, to try all the new changes, stuff like that. So make sure you register now so that you can play all these kind of stuff, all these builds. So this build, I wasn't able to actually play this build on live on of course the multiplayer server because I had a few issues with my paladin when I was leveling it. So I actually brought someone else who was playing support paladin. Tarek, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hello, my name is Tarek. I do speedrunning on Last Epoch. I played Support Paladin during the weekend event and I had a ton of fun. So yeah, let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, of course. So how was the experience of like leveling in a party with it, right? Because you started fresh, I assume, right?
Yeah, so at first, like I started like classic doing hammer throw, and then I quickly switched to full support. So javelin, Holy Aura, Sigil of Hope, like all that kind of stuff. And like it's from that moment, it's so OP because you basically steamroll all the content when you are in a group in a party where you can support other players. This was like no effort. I wasn't even looking at the screen, and we were like one-shotting bosses, monsters. Like this was so stupid, dude. But yeah, it was also a ton of fun.
So you want to like just do a quick rundown, kind of more of a generic rundown of like the benefits that you're giving the party.
Yeah, so basically what we want to do is stack as much attunement and increase healing effectiveness on your character. And we take advantage actually of a node in Javelin that gives increased damage per attunement and increased armor. Then we also have Holy Aura that gives like tons of buffs to your party. You obviously also have Sigil of Hope, gives the same like ton of armor, ton of damage, especially powerful because we were playing with a Blade Dancer. And Shadow Daggers actually like doubles dip, I
Oh
believe,
my
with
god,
the
it actually doubles dips on that. That's insane.
yeah, I think it doubles dip. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think it doubles dip.
It's
What
worded the same
else?
way that Morning Frost is, and I know Morning Frost
Yeah,
double dips, so it should.
yeah. I think it doubles dip. Then you also have obviously volatile reversal, dude. This is crazy. Like, boom, double damage. Okay, sure, man. And then I was doing like a small tech on a javelin too. I was actually casting auto casting smite near the flag.
Yeah, for extra healing. Yeah.
Yeah, for extra healing. And this was like really, really dumb because Smite, you can, like, I was very easily scaling the healing of Smite to like 1.5k healing per Smite to like 2k healing at high,
Yeah, because
with
attunement
high
scales
gear.
everything at once.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it scales like damage, it scales like the buffs that you provide, and it scales the healing too. So, yeah,
Yeah.
this is pretty dumb.
You know what's funny is the what is it called? The idle change, the Throne of Ambition actually buffs this setup a lot more because not only are you giving a bunch of increased damage, but now your support, I mean your carry can just put on a Throne of Ambition and get 40% more of the armor that you're giving them, which is ridiculous. Before it was
Yeah.
just increased armor, which would have just been additive, but now it's just a bunch more.
Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting to say the least. And on top of that, actually, I was able to deal damage thanks to a new item,
Yeah,
some
let's
gloves.
talk about Hands of Judgment, shall we? You want to? I'll put a picture of it on screen, obviously in editing, but like go ahead and explain it.
Okay, so it is called Hand of Judgment, and it gives flat fire damage per attunement while you are unarmed. So you don't play with any weapon, but you can still play with a shield. And it also, sorry, gives increased area per attunement. So what you do is that you play with the consecrated ground, and it basically plays like, for those of you that play PoE, it's like righteous fire. Like it's basically righteous fire in LE, and it's so OP because like obviously in your build you're gonna stack a ton of attunement already. You're gonna stack a ton of healing effectiveness, and like you're gonna be able to one shot all the monsters, like the trash monsters.
Yeah, not only are you
Even though
playing a
you're
support
support.
build, you're actually
Yeah, you're
dealing
playing a
damage.
support.
Yeah.
And you deal damage. But to be fair, like I was thinking about it, and I think you can still deal damage even without the gloves.
Yeah,
Like
'cause you're
if you
stacking
play,
attunement.
like let's say for example you play Manifest Armor, or you play you know the smite on hammer throw with the idols.
Devotion.
You could still find like a setup to deal damage even though you're support, and I think that's what's really cool about the Paladin support, is that you can still like give a shit ton of buff, but still you're still independent basically.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about all of this is like this just works on crud gear. You could have no gear and still be giving your allies insane amounts of damage and stuff. So I'm gonna be honest, this is probably low key, probably I think like in multiplayer, at least in a party standpoint, I think this is like one of the best builds in the game in terms of just party play. Like it is by far one of the most important things to a party. Like sure, support Weber is cool and all, but I think the strength of support Paladin specifically, I think here, is the fact that it's so generic and it just works for any comp. Like for instance, when I was playing support Werebear, there were some times where I felt useless because his buffs are specific, right? But when I was playing support Paladin, it felt like I could party with anyone, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Also, I forget to talk about like shield throw, because on shield throw you have a node called Aegis, but it wasn't working on the weekend. I wasn't able. So basically, what it does is that it grants armor to allies hit by your shield throw, and you can scale that armor with your attunement.
Yeah.
And you can basically have like capped armor on any character.
Essentially, what we're trying to say here is expect this build to be nerfed by March 9th.
It wasn't working. It wasn't working in the weekend, so I didn't play with it. But yeah,
could you imagine?
This is
So
it's like you give Go ahead.
What kind of builds do you think would be the best carry to be for this kind of build? Like I know it's like super generic, but like what kind of builds did you feel was good for it that like
I think
well with it?
Okay, so Blade Dancer obviously for the leveling, but Shadow Daggers, crazy value because you don't get as much increased damage on the tree and the passive tree and the skill tree on in Blade Dancer.
Yeah.
You can get it on Smoke Bomb, but it's like situational because you have to stop. It's on CD, etc.
Yeah.
And you also give like flat damage. Really powerful overall. But I think the very interesting build to combine it with Paladin are like minion builds.
Yeah,
okay, I'm not a minion player, but the healing, dude, this is crazy, dude. This is absurd. Like it gives so much recovery. Like any minion, you don't have to
build. You plop the javelin on top of the Dreadshade setup, and like you're good to go.
Yeah. But talking about javelin though, it has I could get it down to 5.2 seconds cooldown.
Yeah.
And you know, like in the echoes, you basically are objective rushing.
Yeah.
So you don't really have a situation except when you are at the objective or the boss where you put down your javelin because you are constantly on the move.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I don't know how it's gonna evolve with like the future content in the game.
I can actually give some insight on this because I was playing my version. So with my version specifically, I wasn't going with like the Hands of Judgment stuff. I wasn't actually going to go with Judgment at all. The idea was to go with a polearm and go with the cast javelin off of a polearm. And of course, I jumped to my allies with lunge. And that allowed me to have 100% uptime on, of course, the javelin plus, of course, lunge getting to allies and healing them as well. And it was really good while mapping because I could keep up with anybody by just lunging to my
Mm,
ally. And it felt really wonderful. I think if you go full support paladin, like you're just wanting to be a buff stick, I think you really do go with the lunge route because it just gives so much mobility, right? It
okay,
also means that you can like put
I
javelins
have
down all the time, right? Go
I
ahead.
have a counter argument to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a party with the blade dancer, and he was
Uh-huh.
moving so fast that I couldn't even
Oh,
launch to him.
well, the problem is lunge is bugged, remember, on the
Yeah,
patch. Because like you can't actually like lunge off screen right now for some reason.
yeah,
But once you're able to actually lunge off screen, you'll be able to actually keep up with it.
yeah,
And if he goes too fast, you have the little blue portal thing too, right?
yeah, yeah. So what I was doing basically, I was going in my own route, one-shotting monsters with my
Yeah.
judgment, and once we
Yeah.
got to the objectives, I would TP on the guy.
No, yeah, that
And
makes sense completely. Yeah.
but like it's very interesting what you said because that could be applied, for example, to content like T4 dungeon, like early T4 dungeon. For example, you're under geared, like your party is not that well geared. You can struggle a bit with the monster, so you take things more methodically.
Yeah.
And I can see that happen like in that setup where you would
Yeah,
launch.
essentially the lunge setup just allowed me to always have javelin up
Hmm.
100% of the time because the cooldown was low enough, especially if you get stuff like a stemmied, and you can put javelin on your
Yeah.
R2, so if you really need more uptime on it, it worked really well while I was leveling it until the eventual end of that build.
Yeah, I was shield rushing with judgment, so I made that choice. I could have went with the launch too.
All
That's a
right,
good idea.
well, how was your experiences with multiplayer? This is gonna be the last question before we end this here. You can keep it brief. How would you enjoy? Like,
Uh
did you enjoy it? What
oh
was
yeah.
your overall experience with it?
So as you know, I'm a speedrunner, so I kind of have the goal of like doing the campaign as fast as possible, that kind of stuff. And it can be compatible with like a group, but I think it's more optimal to do it as a solo player. But after playing with the full party, I think I'm gonna actually like at the start of the cycles and at 0.9, I think I'm gonna play in groups at the start
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like playing a group is so much easier and
It
it
makes the early
like the
progression so much more fun.
yeah it like the quality of life it brings makes it so much more enjoyable and you can play like so much longer than what I would usually play. Like usually I would play like 6 7 hour session. There I think I played like 11 or 12 hours straight.
Yeah,
Like this was really enjoyable.
perfect. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Tarek. Thank you for filling up some more of my missed knowledge since I didn't really get to play Support Paladin much this weekend. So, if you don't know, Tarek's also going to be one of the people on the Max Roll branch for last Epoch. He's going to be doing a lot of the leveling
Oh yeah.
content. So be looking out for that when March 9th comes around. I believe that's probably when they're going to do that. So that they'll have his stuff up there as well. I just wanted to mention that as well. With all that
Yep.
being said, February 2nd, that's going to be the Pack the Server event. Use the link down in the description, register for it, have fun with everyone, help us crash the servers. All that being said, this has been Dread. Off to go work on other stuff. Bye.